Hey guys, it's Toniko Pantoja, and today I'd like to talk about jealousy. Now, if you're someone that's really ambitious, you feel like you deserve the world, you want to belong in a community, jealousy is quite a common feeling. Now, I work in the animation industry, and that industry can be highly competitive. It can be very cliquey, and it rewards those who are big names who are successful in that field. Now, as someone who has high standards on themselves, who usually compares themselves to others, I have been a very jealous individual myself. Now, you could be someone that's outside of my community, outside of my industry, or my world. You may be thinking, what's there to be jealous of the cartoons or the art industry? That's just petty. But when that community becomes a major aspect of your life, it basically becomes your whole world. It forms your sense of belonging, your purpose, a place to be recognized in that community. Because it's your only world right now, everything about it becomes such a huge deal, exponentially. But I think this stuff can also be applied to your living lifestyle, relationships, counting what you have and don't have, and seeing others have what you want. It could also be things like skill. They could excel way better than what you're good at. Maybe they're more attractive. They're more well liked by other people, demanded. And this can create the feeling like you're being pushed aside, and eventually, maybe this feeling of being forgotten. So let me run by some examples of thoughts that may have passed your mind. Various examples of thoughts of jealousy. Why is this other person getting all the opportunities I want? I deserve it as much as they do, if not, maybe more. How are they better at me at certain things? How are they learning things faster than me? How are they even surpassing me? How am I not getting recognized for the things that I do? Why does it feel like someone else is getting credit for something that I practice or something that I have done? Why am I getting passed on, forgotten, ignored? Why does everyone like this other person instead of me? Why am I looked down on? Why am I looked down on when I am just as capable of doing things that people look up to? What is this other person doing better than I'm not? Why would they choose to hang out with this other person over me? Why hire them and not me? Why is this other person who is much greener, newer, younger than me suddenly get the opportunity that I've been fighting for many years? Maybe some of you guys can relate to a lot of these thoughts, and it doesn't only apply to, let's say, the animation industry or the art industry, the creative industry, it can also apply to your everyday life. So from my personal experience and my personal opinion, I think jealousy comes from two major things. To be recognized, which leads to belonging in a community, and the other part is to avoid being lonely. And if you think about it, these are all very primal things. A while back, I had this epiphany, and I realized that my jealousy has followed me since childhood. Even before this animation crap, those feelings of jealousy did carry on from my childhood to, the animation industry or to my work. So let me go back to when I was a kid. Now, as a kid, it was very hard for me to make friends. I was a pretty lonely individual, and when I did make a friend, it was such a huge deal to me. And this led to me painting an ideal version of them in my head, that they were super loyal to me and that we were super tight. Mud is thicker than blood. But when I felt like they were straying away, they were making other friends, they were hanging out with others more than me, in my head, I would exaggerate that as a betrayal, and that further strengthened the rift between me and my friends. This carried on to my relationships, to my coworkers, and people in general. When I got something that I fought super hard for, like something that I deserved, I clinged onto it super tight. And when other people were getting recognized, there was a part of me that kind of did not like that. Like, I wanted it all. That's how bad it got. Like, in cases, it made me more selfish. And I feel like this was also strengthened by the fact that I was misunderstood a lot. Like, a lot of people took me the wrong way, or when I said something, they mistook that as something else, and that caused further confusion and frustration. So the more misunderstood I got, of course, the more upset, the more jaded and cynical I became of other people. Like I said, jealousy is sort of related to that primal need to belong to a community, to avoid loneliness, and to be recognized for your achievements. If this wasn't really an issue about being lonely, or an issue that includes other people outside of ourselves, then why are we comparing ourselves to each other? Okay, so it wasn't until I was editing and writing this video where I realized that there could be another source of jealousy, and maybe there's a better way to word this, but I think one source of jealousy is when you see someone that does something that goes against your values, your beliefs, your paradigm, suddenly become successful. So all the things that you were told not to do, all the things that you disregard or you don't like, and this other person is doing the thing that you disdain or you kind of pushed yourself away from. People love them, people look up to them, people trust them. I can see how that can lead to some form of resentment and jealousy within that. So an example is like when I went to school for animation, I was pretty much taught not to like anime or not to do the anime style, which is a shame because when I grew up, that was the thing that motivated me the most. And it's not until I graduated, I had this sort of resentment of doing anime, and when I saw other people do the anime style, they're kicking ass with it, and they're doing really well, it made me sort of question my own sort of upbringing. So you think you did all the right things, all the right choices, you did all the things that your instructors or supervisors told you, you followed instructions, but then you don't benefit from it. Someone else who breaks all the rules, who doesn't do exactly what you were avoiding to do, get all the benefits you wanted. It's like, well, what the hell? Now, as someone who's dealing with personal jealousy, and if you guys are going through the same thing, here's some practices that's been helping me out recently. The first one is to step back and take time to yourself. Like distance yourself from the things that are toxic to you or even bring up the feeling of jealousy. You have to understand that jealousy is a feeling, and when it's raw, things can get pretty emotional. So take a step back, process it, think about your initial plans and goals, come back several hours later, and you might feel different. The next one I want to advise is to extend your communities. So let's say the community I'm most involved with is in animation. Now, the feeling that I have for animation currently, as an example, is I'm really jealous. People here make me upset. They make me angry. It's an echo chamber of all my anxieties. If I think about this too long, or if I stay here too long, I will hate the medium, I will hate the people in it, I will hate the industry, etc., etc. The problem is, this is currently my only world. Now, lately I've been taking up other hobbies. I've been hanging out more. I've actually been going out to lunch or to coffee just to sit around, sketch, talk to the baristas, talk to the community over there. And something that I've noticed is that the mindset in a lot of these different communities are quite different. Their perspectives about life, what they value, things like success, it's different. So now I have something to talk about and to do besides animation. And eventually these communities become, friendships, genuine relationships. And being a part of all these different communities, whether it's hobbies, physical sports, traveling outside of your town or country, meeting different people, not only is it going to dilute that feeling of jealousy and anxiety, but it may also create a new perspective in what's important in your life. So go outside more, take a step back from the current community that you're in and explore different outlets. So the next thing I want to talk about is the whole idea of people telling you not to compare yourself to others. This is a frequent advice I see other artists give to much newer artists. Don't compare yourself to others. It's easy to say, but it's kind of hard to practice. So instead of just saying, don't compare yourself to others, here are some other ways to go about that thinking. So the first one is you have to accept that there are people that have what you want and that there are people that want what you have. Whether it's like skill or experience or benefits, whatever it is, just accept that there are things that people will have that you don't. The next is you have to know when you're assuming and generalizing people based on their successes and failures. You kind of have to be a bit more empathetic. Just because people have what you want, it doesn't mean that they're content or happy or successful. You'd be surprised how the people that you look up to or the people that you're jealous of could also be insecure in some way. People that I looked up to or people that I was jealous of, they had their own issues going on, and some of them turned out to be jealous of me. So, there's some surprises like that. I think being able to talk to some of these people, getting to know them better, I learned that a lot of us are on the same boat, and there are those who are pretty supportive of each other. The third one is just focus on your self-discovery and growing. Be careful of constantly seeking approval from others. So an example of this is, let's say I'm drawing something, I'm really liking the direction I'm going through, I'm learning a lot from it, and I know when I put it online and it doesn't get a lot of likes or it doesn't get any approval, I will feel different about my work. So you kind of have to find ways to not let that affect you, or don't play that game too much. The fourth one is to assume that the world isn't fair. You may be going against circumstances that are out of your control. The only thing you have control is yourself, your own community. So try to focus on what you currently have. Build productive habits rather than trying to obtain goals that are dependent on someone else's giving or approval. Do things that matter to you. Constantly remind yourself why you got into it in the first place, the things you want to say with your work, and work towards that. And this is strictly speaking as someone who works in a creative industry. The last advice I'd like to give is to be careful with someone else's opinion on what success looks like. So there will be a lot of people in your life that will tell you what success looks like. So they'll say things like, if you do this and you have this, you're successful. Or if you do this before you hit a certain age, you will have made it. I think a lot of this was fed into students when I was a student, where the teachers would say, if you got work in a major studio in America, you would have made it, you would be successful, just keep working hard, just stay afloat, and you're good to go. And for people who don't do that or choose less popular options, they're kind of disregarded or they're not looked highly upon. And it did affect how students treated each other. And I can see how this could lead to jealousy when a student, let's say, gets a job or an internship opportunity at a major studio, and there are students who are trying to or don't do that. I can see them becoming jealous because they couldn't do that or they didn't do that. So just be careful with that stuff. So I kind of want to wrap this video up by saying, if you've been a very jealous individual for a long time, and let's say you finally made it, you finally got the thing that you wanted, people look up to you, people want you, you're a vision of yourself that 10 years younger version of yourself would kill for. And now you're this ideal version of you now. But I think that if you haven't really figured out a lot of your jealousy issues, it's going to last until the end of your lifetime, because I think you're going to find other things to be jealous of. I think there's going to be factors in your life that's still going to be jealous. Like, you're going to see something and say, hey, that's something that I want and I still don't have it. Why the hell not? And you're going to keep finding new things to be jealous of. So here's an example. As a student, I was jealous of my classmates who got internships and job opportunities. By the time I finally landed a full-time job within the industry, I wanted to climb up in my career. I wanted to, let's say, become a supervisor, a director, and that didn't happen. I got jealous of people who were. And let's say I got more experience, people looked up to me, I finally got the opportunities I wanted. I got jealous of other people who were, getting their shows greenlit or they were becoming directors. So that was just something that I noticed that this was something that I needed to figure out, or else it was going to follow me for the rest of my life since childhood. So that was just something that I wanted to bring up, because I think jealousy is a feeling that is prevalent for anyone at any stage. So you just need to be more self-aware, find ways to fix that, figure that out, talk to people about these things, open the conversation up so you can find ways to dilute that feeling. Anyways, that's all I want to talk about. Bye. Interested in learning hand-drawn animation or learning how to finish an animated shot from beginning to end? Have a look at the store where you'll find the complete Introduction to 2D Animation video course, tutorials, and other resources. Learn classical animation approaches, drawing, lectures, techniques, and other process videos. Visit the store through the link in the description below.